There's using ChatGPT and there's cleaning it up and there's making sure it's palatable and making sure that a human being will want to read it and making sure it's targeted at something that people care about, and then there's just shoveling shit. And you got to figure out the difference.
Yeah. Typically what I've found over the last decade of working in the contracting space, a lot of people aren't the early adopter of things. They like to wait and see. I think ChatGPT is exceptional though. We got a banger for you today. I'm Mike Stearns with the Mission Control Podcast, brought to you by Ascend Digital and the team at Roofer. And we got Tim
Brown, Hook Agency. Super excited to be here. We're doing predictions.
We're going to have some, and maybe some hot takes. I don't know, because this is going to be more spontaneous. So we didn't chart this out. So I'm excited to see how this goes. This is the first ever collab that we did where we're both doing our podcast kind of all in one.
Yeah, I think we had a post recently where somebody asked Ascend versus Hook, and it was great. It was the most positive I've ever seen a marketing thread in my life on a roofing Facebook group. There's literally 10 beautiful compliments to you guys, and there's some really nice stuff said about us. It was just crazy that it reminds you it is good to we've associated a little bit with each other, and it's positive for both of our companies. Yeah. I mean, it's good to associate with other companies that do what you do, and they do a good job.
I couldn't agree more. My number one prediction, business owners will continue to neglect to be aware and pay attention to the things that matter outside of their marketing and advertising that make the most meaningful impact. So call answer rate, appointment scheduling rate, sales rate by marketing channel, all the things that can consistently be approved on to impact your ROI in the most positive way. That's my first take.
My first prediction is that there will be ads on ChatGPT by the end of 2025. And I would say it might be a good idea to look at being an early adopter of those, because a lot of people are very slow to get on new platforms. And if you're early, the costs are generally lower.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. If you look at Facebook advertising, what it was 10, 12 years ago, what it cost you to get exposure, the ability for you to get in front of your market, your target market, what an organic feed, paid ads, what it cost then, what it costs now, substantial difference, night and day.
Yeah. We should also do some reactions at the end of the year to see whether we were correct.
When we're wrong about fucking everything?
Yeah. But that's the beauty of prediction posts. Yeah. We could be wrong, but the truth is that you and I probably hyper obsess about what these things are going on. They just announced that ChatGPT was looking at this very in depth. So or OpenAI, the parent company of ChatGPT. So kind of crazy. I will say about yours, because you said people are going to neglect the things. People are going to neglect the things that make ROI more likely. Mm-hmm. Have you talked to Searchlight?
I've not.
They're here at Roofing Process Conference. We're in
Marco Island,
Florida right now at a conference. The Searchlight is a third-party ROI checker tool, and it allows people to see, hey, what is actually working in our digital marketing from a third party on the outside to say what the ROI looks like. And it's really cool. And it's good for giving a checkpoint for agencies to roofers too, because yes, roofers love to check us on ROI, but do you have something that can check your roofers on, are you actually selling well? And are you actually following up? Because that was a surprise. We had them just do a blind taste test of one of our clients that we had in common. And he showed me, he's like, the ROI looks great. It was 8X or something. And he's like, but they have more estimates out and that they need to follow up on than they have sold. So we talk so much about answering the phone, right? Most of you are answering the phone very poorly. Let's just be honest about that. And your automations around follow-up and different things like that. But then, I feel like it was a surprise to me to think about how much is not being followed up on, because people are they're giving their people so many leads in some cases that they're not following up on the old ones.
Yeah, I agree. That makes a lot of sense. And it's just a matter of time before ChatGPT introduces ads, right? Typically when these platforms roll out, and I don't think it's kind of unprecedented, the user adoption that ChatGPT got immediately and thereon. It's just a matter of time before they go from a freemium to a premium to okay, now let's get paid advertising on it. So it makes a lot of sense. And I don't know what the timeline is, but I think that you're probably in lockstep with when it's going to happen, if not sooner.
I do think more people will think that SEO is less valuable in certain ways.
Yes.
However,
that was my next prediction.
Oh shit, go for it.
Prick.
Go for it. I'm interested. How are we going to say this?
Yeah, so my second prediction is people will continue to buy into the narrative that SEO is dead, and as a result of that, they will lose opportunity. So, this has been something that's been expressed for the last decade. SEO is dead. This happened. Now there's more paid search. Now there's local services, so people aren't coming to the websites. People still ask me all the time, and they have for years, like, are you actually getting meaningful traffic? And I show them charts of our clients. Yes, we get traffic. But what does that mean as far as leads? So let's take a look at that. And then we dive into the leads that are filtered out by organic. And this person's getting 150, 200 leads a month. And I think that perspective will become more and more pervasive as years go on. It's been interesting because typically what I've found over the last decade of working in the contracting space, a lot of people aren't the early adopter of things. They like to wait and see. I think ChatGPT is exceptional, though. I think that a lot of people it's very attractive because it's like, you don't have to deal with guys like Mike or Tim or anybody else. You don't need a marketing agency. You can just do all this stuff yourself. And I think that you should take a step back. You should use ChatGPT, but there's also some things that if you rely solely on ChatGPT, don't have processes in place, and don't have somebody internally that know what they're doing, it could be just as equally hurtful as it can be harmful or helpful.
And another way it can be hurtful, I agree. It hurts also to waste somebody's time, a lot of time. Let's say you're just cranking out ChatGPT content, and I've seen this a lot where somebody's just like churning out stuff, but there's no targeting. So spend more of your time on targeting. The beauty of maybe getting rid of some of that busy work, and there's nothing wrong with using some ChatGPT for some content as long as you're modifying it a little bit and adding images and videos and doing some of the other on-page SEO stuff.
Alt attributes.
Once you do those things, if you don't have targeting, you're wasting a bunch of time on SEO and prioritization. And we know it well because we like to increase that traffic. We like it to go up, but we need to have a tight group of keywords or like topics, 10 to 20, like that we're really hammering, that are like money makers, right? Like we need to focus as much as we can. It's fun to focus on glamour metrics, but you and I both know, because we get our noses rubbed in it when it's not making them money.
Yeah.
And we do. Marketers are we're held accountable a lot. So we get our face rubbed in it when there's not money from the keywords. And so we know you need to prioritize the money makers. And to add to your point about people looking at the shiny object thing, and like ChatGPT, not only to do SEO, but as a competitor to Google. Right now, it did beat out Bing as far as like market share. It's going to go up quick. It might even be as much as like 30% in the next 3 years of market share. That's an aggressive estimate, but it's a real thing, because I see people all the time when we would have Googled it, I look over and they're ChatGPTing it.
Yep.
So it's a real thing. One thing to note is all of the hard work. I don't know if you've seen this, where it's clients that have done a lot of hard work on SEO and they've worked with you for a while are showing up in ChatGPT results.
Yep.
Isn't that beautiful?
It's a beautiful thing. I sent a couple screenshots, and Christian, you could put these on screen on our side of the podcast.
You can put it on ours.
Just a couple days ago of me searching locally and finding our clients as the number one roofer in this area. Yeah. And to your point, I'm going to give a tip to everybody watching. If you're doing in-house content, you're doing ChatGPT content, or you have a marketing agency doing content for you and you're not sure how they're developing the content, go to Google Search Console, check your index versus non-index pages. I come across people all the time. They've got 479 blogs. Not one of them are indexed. And what index means is it's actually showing up when people are searching somewhere on Google search engine result page or any other search engine. If you have 400, 500, 10, 1,000 blogs, but they're not indexed, that means that they're never going to show up in the search results, which means it's a complete wasted opportunity.
That's good. I know exactly the phenomenon that you're talking about. It's the shoveling shit SEO approach.
Yeah.
There's using ChatGPT, and there's cleaning it up, and there's making sure it's palatable, and making sure that a human being will want to read it. And then and making sure it's targeted at something that people care about, and then there's just shoveling shit. And you got to figure out the difference.
Yeah.
It's not that thin of a line. You know what I mean? Like, it's a pretty big difference. Like when especially when you see somebody's putting up 400 words of content, there's no traffic on any of them. So that's something to watch out for. It's like probably low-end agencies that will come in thinking that automation and ChatGPT is like all you need. The problem is that you're competing with people that are doing serious marketing for humans. So we have to blend it together. We have to find a way to use the tool to get leverage, and then also make sure that we're marketing for humans. And that means, targeting the keywords, and that means kind of cleaning up the content a bit, basically. And I'm like totally gung ho on ChatGPT. I'm not gung ho on unfiltered 400 word blog posts, like hundreds of them.
Yeah, it's a tool, right? And if you use an intended tool for the wrong task, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
If you use a tear-off shovel to start hand-banging shingles, that doesn't work. Grab a hammer, right? Because the hammer is more effective, and you're more likely to get the desired result or outcome that you're looking for. ChatGPT, it's a great tool, but you got to use it properly.
I'm going to go ahead with my next prediction. I think this is our third or fourth.
Yeah. Who's counting?
Yeah. My prediction is that there will be many roofing companies' websites that had a lot of SEO traffic or an SEO asset that gets squandered by private equity. And this goes to the deeper topic of assets in general being squandered. There is real traffic, right? There's real Naval Ravikant. I don't know if you guys follow him on Twitter. He's badass. He's kind of like a little bit of a philosopher, but an economist. He makes a lot of money. Anyways, he talks about the different types of leverage. And the obvious ones are like capital and labor and some of those, but there's also content, code, network. And a lot of these existing roofing companies are there's content that they've built out. There's a brand, which is it's a network of people that respect and appreciate this local company.
Yeah.
And more I've seen these private equity companies shifting away from dissolving the brand and to keeping the brand because they've recognized that it's an asset. The old way of doing things was they said, we're going to put them all under one brand and squash all these companies because it's nothing, because they don't have a brand and it's just the salespeople and whatever else. The new way of doing things is valuing those brands and potentially valuing the assets that they have, like content and SEO. So even if you get acquired, recommend that they don't squash what you've built for years. And even if you're acquiring people and you're conscious, it's not a rounding error. $1 million or $2 million a year from your website and your SEO is not a rounding error. It might seem like it to a $100, $200, $300 million roll up, but you need to be conscious of the fact to keep all that so that you can, because they're giving you money up front and then you're going to get money on the back end if it turns out later. So I roll a 20%, roll a 30%, a 40% in, and then make sure you keep all those assets that were making you the revenue before, so that you're not the guy that the private equity says, oh, sorry, you didn't meet benchmarks, so you don't get the percentage we told you you're going to get.
Yeah, that's a really good tip as far as how to prevent that, is understand what you have and then work that into the conversation. Because, listen, I'm not an expert in private equity, but I understand they're going to operate off revenue, EBITDA, and things like that. And that's not something that your web traffic isn't something that's going to show up on the spreadsheet, right? Mm-hmm. They're going to look at the manifestation of it. So what revenue you have, et cetera, lead flow, processes. but the actual traffic and what it's taken to get there and what it takes to preserve that won't show up. So that's definitely a worthwhile conversation to have. And like you said, if you lose 50,000 people a month that were coming to your site otherwise, and you have a vested interest in perpetuity of that company doing well, and your payout long-term is predicated on ongoing revenue, 1,000% is a topic of conversation that needs to be had.
Maintain the things that got you revenue before the acquisition.
Yeah, and I'm going to piggyback off that and talk about if you're changing marketing agencies, there's this narrative that if I build a new website, I'm going to lose all my traffic. That is not the case. If you work with somebody who knows what the fuck they're doing and they actually care, the likelihood of that happening drops substantially. There may be some fluidity in the transition, but it's not like you're going to go from 10,000 people to 1,000 people overnight unless they forget to do things like redirects, right? It's mail forwarding for the internet. You got the same domain, but you got different pages. It's mapped out more optimally for search and for you to get ranked and for the customer experience. You have to let Google hey, there's new information or there's the same information, but now it's at this address. It's just something that I see a lot of people miss on, and it perpetuates this false narrative that you're going to lose everything if you build a new website.
Yeah, that being said, it might go down a little bit for a little while. And that's why it's good to do a big SEO push right when you relaunch. Because even those redirects, sometimes you restructure, there's a little dip or something, then you push hard on SEO. It is good to push hard on SEO as you launch a new website, 100%.
Yeah, and like I said, there is going to be fluidity in the transition likely, but it's not as substantial as I think people, they take the doom and gloom mentality of they can build you a really pretty website, but you're going to lose everything. And that's just simply not the case.
Yeah. All right, what other predictions you got for 2025? What's changing?
I have an optimistic prediction here. My optimistic prediction is business owners are going to be more vested and proactive on the front end, better understanding marketing and advertising so they can make informed decisions for their brand when they're hiring, whether that's a marketing agency to do a website, SEO, Google Ads, whether that's, hiring a company to do mailers, I don't care what you're doing. I think that you guys are going to take a more proactive approach to being better informed so that they can hold your partners accountable once you do decide to do business with them.
I like the optimism. I'm going to go with an optimistic prediction that the average percentage that's spent on marketing and roofing is going to go up a bit. I think that because of the modernization and the professionalism that's coming in with private equity, and I'm already talking to people that are spending over 10%.
Yeah.
And it's, you look at home services in general, they're used to spending more. They dominate more. They actually go really hard. And that takes money. And once you get your math right, you can spend more. Once you really understand your math, and I'm not a big math guy, so I'm not even going to try to pretend, but there's people that have their math so right that they're okay spending a larger amount to acquire a customer because they've got it down. They've got it down and they can do it and they can scale. So let's say my average prediction before was 5. So average percentage recommendation. I'm moving that up to 7. I'm moving that up to 7.5 because there is more money funneling into this industry, and to compete, it's going to take more. It is harder also. It is harder because the competition is getting more fierce. So if you're spending, they were just talking about there's a lot of bigger companies that get bigger despite themselves spending 2%. That might not happen as much when you have these, and I might not be this year, but this next few years, this next 3 to 5 years, it's going to be thicker, right? With bigger, more professional companies. We've seen that in HVAC. They came in, they swallowed up companies, they increased marketing budgets, they got more fierce, they got real brands, and now roofing is getting that. And there's going to be roll-ups and modernization that make it harder to compete. If you don't spend 7, I think it's going to be, I just think it's going up. And you can, it's different if you're a door knocker. I think that is a totally different business. It's storm restoration. Spend 2 all day, brother. I don't care. If you're that's your whole business model, that's a different business model. I don't even pretend to know that much about storm restoration and the different method and what you should. But yeah, that's a lot of resources spent on door knocking, if we're honest.
My last prediction is in the next 12 months, so today is December 5th of 2024, in the next 12 months, ChatGPT will capture at least 10% of search market. And within that, my other prediction is Ascend Digital Agency will continue to do everything that we can to make sure that when people are using ChatGPT, we're optimized for search to show up in their results as well.
I love that. I should try to match that with some kind of little promo for Hook. You know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say more in-house marketers. I think that there's a good model for the blended approach between in-house and out-of-house. You got John Cater, who did your guys' podcast setup. He did a client of ours, Dan Young's podcast setup. And that approach of doing video well and going hard on video and creating a little in-house team and then adding on an additional out-of-house like specialists, I think that model is going to continue to get bigger because video, if you aren't doing it, it used to be just do it, right? Well, you and I 2 years ago were just like, do it, get on camera. You can be a piece of shit and just use your phone. Now it's not that anymore, okay? You got to get better. You got to have a guy with a gimbal. You can't just have two phones set up like a fucking asshole. No, I'm just kidding. I've got two phones set up.
Show them the setup, Christian.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. No, but getting better and better with this, like we have an in-house video guy, you've got an in-house video guy. Take note of the market. Like we care about marketing a lot, right? You and I are probably marketing harder than an average roofing company. We're going hard on video. So the people that like really understand marketing, going hard on video, that blended approach between in-house and out-of-house video is something that's harder to do out of house.
We literally just had somebody reach out to me yesterday and I'm like, well, how'd you hear about us? For some reason, YouTube presented you guys and I watched a bunch of your videos and it's clear you guys know what you're talking about and I want to work with you. Yep. And that can happen for you within your community as far as getting your roof done. Put content out there that helps solve people's issues. It's not going to install the roof for them, but it's going to give them that level of confidence in your brand that you're an easy choice for their project. Because again, homeowners don't trust roofers.
And it does take more work. It's not easy, like put up 10 videos and you're good. It's like literally a relentless, consistent video strategy with keywords. So if you have great blogs that let's say Ascend did or Hook did, turn those into like, take those topics, ask Ascend, ask Hook for your top 10 blogs, turn those into videos. And then vice versa, your best videos that are doing well, give them to your agency and say, turn this into a blog. So it's like going back and forth with video.
You mean communication between the company and the marketing team is important?
Yes.
Huh.
Yeah, that will big prediction. That will really continue to be important to get the best results possible. And people that don't prioritize it or want to just outsource it and forget about it.
Pay to go away.
That's not going to be a great strategy in 2025.
Couldn't agree more. I think this one's going to be a banger. I think a lot of people are going to get a lot of value out of this one.
I agree. Hey, thank you guys for watching. And check out Ascend
at Ascend Digital Agency.
AscendDigitalAgency.com, Hook Agency at HookAgency.com.
On YouTube at Ascend Digital Agency, website www.ascenddigitalexperts.com. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Appreciate the team at Roofer for help making this happen. And Tim, most importantly, I appreciate you, man.
Thank you.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.